Dear patient, it hasn't been easy to stay home, and it hasn't been easy to close our practice for all this time. But although we were closed, we started to plan our return. We envisioned a practice that is adapted to the current situation, a practice where you feel comfortable coming in and being treated in it, a practice that is corona safe. So we designed a workflow that addresses this, a workflow that is efficient in time and minimizes interactions and the number of people in the office. So how can we achieve that? Be efficient and practical and also deliver high-end treatment. Plus, make you feel how much we care about you. So here is how it goes. Your appointment will be scheduled over the phone, as always. We will be asking a few extra questions on the phone as part of our screening process. Thank you for your time answering them. You will get an appointment reminders to your email and phone as a text message. These would have a quick questionnaire that you will be answering. It's called the wellness form. We are doing this to ensure no patients with symptoms enter our office. We apply the same to the doctors and all team members in our practice. We also have a special protocol for handling mail and packages. These get disinfected before entering the practice. Now here's the first big difference. Don't just walk in. We will text you when we are ready for you. Then walk in. Make sure you wear a mask. Our office is a masked environment. If you don't have a mask, we'll provide one to you. We got you covered. In case you didn't fill out the wellness form, you'll fill it out there. It only takes a few seconds. By the way, we only allow scheduled patients to come in. We have a special protocol for all patients, which is the same as we are using for our staff. We will take your temperature, we'll ask you to sanitize your hands. You will see HEPA filters scattered around the office. These machines filter and remove all particles in the air, including the COVID virus. Then you're off to your treatment. We will ask you to pre-rinse before your treatment. This reduces the number of microorganisms in your mouth and minimizes contamination. Our treatment room has been prepared prior to your arrival to maximize the safety of your treatment. On top of that, we are using a special fogger that kills all viruses with a non-toxic solution. In our new protocols, we don't produce aerosols during a cleaning, and we will manually polish your teeth. As things evolve, we will keep you posted on the new protocols. If you are planned to have a procedure done, your check-in process will be the same. We will bring you to the treatment room, and besides the doctors and the assistants and the HEPA filter, you'll see another machine. This is a device that suctions all the aerosols and captures them. Look at it like a large vacuum cleaner for medical purposes. Our doctors and assistants will wear personal protective equipment, including a gown, a cap, a special mask, and a shield. It takes some time to put them on, but it's still us below. As much as we would want to, we will not be able to shake your hand. We are sorry. During the treatment, as always, we will focus on making sure you are comfortable. Medical offices tend to be cold, so make sure to bring a jacket or even a blanket. Feel free to use your phone or other devices to listen to music during your treatment. After getting post-operative instructions and some medications, you're set to go. Your follow-up appointment has already been scheduled and your payment has been processed. Thank you for entrusting us with your treatment. We appreciate your confidence. Speedy recovery. We got you covered. Good evening, everybody. This is Dr. Ziv Simon, and together with Dr. Ari Rosenblatt, and together with some of our hygienists, welcome to this patient webinar. It's been a pretty hard time for the past 8 weeks. We've been in lockdown, and we've been in our homes. We limited our movement, and there was a tremendous impact and a tragic impact on the world. And maybe you were affected by it personally. We all were. But the purpose of this webinar is not to talk about the bad stuff and talk about statistics. It's about proactivity and giving you some sound advice moving forward. even with the financial hardship and the health problems and the restrictions that we have, we can never forget our number one focus. Our number one focus is our health. This is the most important thing that we need to focus on. And this is part of the reason we created this webinar for you. And it's not just something that comes by itself. We need to be extremely tactical about it because our health cannot be replaced. There's only one of us and we must protect it at all costs. And in order to be healthy, we need to be fit, and we need to be fit physically, and we need to be fit mentally. Our mind needs to be fit as well. And that comes from three components: from our diet, from something that I call burn, and output. So diet is obviously what we consume, the foods that we consume. We must eat healthy and we must minimize bad stuff. At a time of a crisis, our brains are craving sugar, salt, and fat. Let's resist it, because these things are obviously not good for us. They're affecting our immune system. We must have a proper mental diet. We need to eliminate the negativity and the bad news, especially before we go to sleep. And maybe it's the time also to eliminate negative people around us and negative thoughts, because they do affect our mindset in a negative way. So when we eat the right food and we nourish ourselves properly, we can then burn, we can then exercise and burn all of those calories. And the output would be, we'll feel much better. We have better posture. Our joints are not hurting. We are just feeling great. But mental fitness is just as important. Your mindset is extremely important for your well-being. So if you feed yourself the right information, and the burn is going to be your brain activity, keep your mind active and stimulated at all times. Don't watch TV all day long. That's what we were doing in our practice. We were constantly working on how to prepare for this opening. Once you have the proper mental diet and you feed yourself positive information and you analyze it and you keep your mind busy, the output would be more focused and calm. And the mindset is what benefits here. And right off the bat, we're going to share with you that you also need to supplement yourself. And vitamin B and a supplement called NAC, N-acetylcysteine, are extremely important for your immune system. And this is what you need right now to resist and fight viral infections, bacterial infections. They play many, many roles in the human body. And you would like to consult with your physician about the benefit of these supplements. We take them ourselves. We also have been in lockdown. We stay many, many hours at home. And we want to make sure that we get a little bit of sun exposure. Since there's not a whole lot of sun exposure, what happens then? We need some supplementation with vitamin D. Vitamin D is created in the skin after light exposure, sun exposure. We don't have that much now. So make sure that you eat well and you supplement yourselves. Now, Dr. Rosenblatt and myself, we came extremely ready for this challenge. We were almost born for that. We almost prepared for it our whole life, whether it is in our physical fitness. Dr. Rosenblatt ran probably 40 marathons in his life. I'm also very physically active. We came very focused. We constantly worked together as a team with all our team members to be ready for this crisis. And this transcended also to our personal life. And we're going to share with you some best practices. We spent a combined over 400 hours together on how to prepare our practice to be corona safe for you, our patients, for our staff, for us. Our practice is our home. Our practice is our life. We spend more time in our office than we spend at home with our spouses, with our kids, with our family. It's really our almost our first home away from home. And we spend many, many hours to prepare, to buy equipment, to learn best practices. So when the day comes to open the practice, and the day is coming, we are prepared and we can talk to you with confidence and tell you exactly what we've done in the office. Now, we've also been doing a lot of education and a lot of broadcasts, just like that. 12 broadcasts in the past 2 months. Some of them were locally, some of them were also international, globally. We had over 50,000 dentists tune in to what we were doing in our offices. And when a lot of dentists called us and emailed us, what are you guys doing? What should we do? We put it all together in the form of a teaching. And in this webinar, we're going to share with you the practices of staying healthy, specifically to the oral cavity. I'm going to talk to you about how to wear a mask. We never learned that. We know that we need to put one on, but we never learned that. And also show you what we did in our office to protect you and our team so we can go back to a practice that is focused on health, on restoring the dental and oral health to you. And we know how much this means to your general health. A healthy mouth is extremely important for your well-being. The mouth is a portal of entry for bacteria and viruses into the body, including COVID. So we need to keep our mouth healthy, and we'll share with you some good practices in here. Now, I've been here in this office close to 20 years. I was born in Germany. And before I met Dr. Rosenblatt, by the way, this is a map not of the corona outbreak. I wish, because it looks pretty mild. These are actually the stations or the places that I lived at, and Dr. Rosenblatt as well. So both of us were born in Germany. We then moved to Israel. I went to dental school in Israel and went to the Israeli Defense Forces. And then both of us, not at the same time, about 25 years apart, both of us moved to the East Coast. I moved to the University of Toronto, Canada. And Dr. Rosenblatt moved to Boston. He went to Tufts University and got his specialty degree in periodontics. And then both of us, a couple years apart, moved to Beverly Hills. And I was fortunate to meet Dr. Rosenblatt about 18 years ago in a casual meeting. And then I decided to move to Beverly Hills and practice with Dr. Rosenblatt. Eventually I became his partner. And except for my wife, I have to thank God for the best blessing in my life, and that is Dr. Rosenblatt, who is my mentor and friend and a trusted person that I would trust with my life. And I know that we have patients in our practice that have been with us for close to 40 years. And they're doing great dentally, and we love having you in our practice. Ever since then, and this is when we started, we always loved to lecture and educate our community. Ever since then, 18 years ago, we matured, we became a little bit wiser. And as I said, we prepared for this crisis for decades. We came prepared physically, and we came prepared mentally. We came prepared financially. And that is what allowed us to change the practice around completely. Dentistry has changed forever. Medicine has changed forever, and the world has changed completely. In order to survive, we must adapt. And I wanted to share with you in this webinar how we adapted and what are the lessons that we learned during those 2 months. And we've been in constant contact with our whole team, although at home, although working part-time. You may have received their phone calls, our emails, and our updates. We were working extremely hard, at least 10 hours a day, to make sure when the time comes, we are prepared. And we had multiple meetings, obviously through Zoom, with the different team members, with the different departments, to make sure that our protocols are sound and can be implemented, and that our practice runs in the most efficient way while we're giving you the state-of-the-art treatment. We didn't want to compromise on anything, and you'll see the results of this work. What is important to know for everybody in this world facing the corona outbreak? There is no such time after corona. There's only before and now. What does that mean? It means that corona is here to stay, like the flu, like influenza, and like other respiratory infections. They're not going to go away. We simply must adapt to them. We need to change our lifestyle. We need to change habits.
We need to follow certain guidelines. This webinar being part of it, and that's why we feel it was important to put it together. And I'm happy to see so many patients that logged into this webinar, because we must change. The coronavirus is actually a WIMP. It's very easy to eliminate it. It's actually not even a living structure. It's a piece of RNA. I'm not going to get too much into the medical side of it, but it's very easy to eliminate it if you understand the best practices. And how do you know the best practices? Part of our research, we became obsessed with preparation. Preparation is the key. And we looked into what's happening in the world. We looked into those hotspots around the world, like Germany, like Korea. And in the midst of those hotspots, we found practices, actually big companies, Fortune 500 companies, that had 0 infections in them, 0. And they were so kind to share what they were doing in their practices. And if you want to be successful, and that's probably great advice for everybody, if you want to be successful, emulate a person or an entity that is successful. So these were our models for our practice. And we studied what they did. We studied their equipment, their protocols. We took the best of both worlds, of both of those countries and those practices. And this was the basis. Now, we also did our own research. We have something called FDA in the United States, and we need to make sure that we comply with all the rules and regulations. But we took this model of those successful practices that had 0 infections, COVID infections, inside a hotspot. So that was our model. And again, we'll share everything with you. If you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy and well, which is, again, the number 1 focus, there are 2 things you need to focus on. And that is disinfection and self-protection. You need to disinfect what is suspicious for corona. It could be a person. Well, you can't disinfect a person. You can just stay away from them. Or disinfecting an object. You also must protect yourself with a couple of good practices that we'll be sharing with you with a face mask. This is really the key to stay healthy at this time. We must change our practices. And if you're lucky like me, you have a great spouse that tells you, hey, this is what we are doing here. Even although I'm a trained surgeon and I know a whole lot about sterility, it was great to see the home perspective. And we'll hear some stories from our wonderful hygienists that will share some stories with us. Starting with the mask, we know that we need to wear one, but do you really know how to wear a mask? We really don't know. And we had to train, we know as surgeons, but we had to train many of the other doctors working with us, staff members, about the best practices. And I'm going to share with you the best practices of wearing a mask. And I'm also going to be sending you the mask guide for patients. This is actually from one of the practices in Germany that we modeled our practice after. It's by Dr. Markus Troelsch in Ansbach, Germany. And in a couple of hours, you'll get an automatic email with this guide. So share this with your family members, share it with your friends, share it with anybody, share it with the world. There's no copyright here. The credit goes to Dr. Troelsch, who gave us special permission to share it with our patients. So that's a very unique gesture, and I want you to take advantage of it. So this is being emailed to you in a couple of hours, and I'm going to share some of the best practices inside this guide. The very important thing when it comes to wearing a mask is to know that the outside part of the mask, whether it's an N95 or a conventional surgical mask, or if you're wearing a cloth mask, the outside is contaminated, the inside is clean. So you never want to reach out for the mask with dirty hands and grab it in the dirty part, because the dirty part, like it sounds, is dirty. You always want to disinfect your hands or wash your hands first before you put the mask on. And then when you place the mask, use the strings and not the outside of the mask, because again, this outside of the mask is dirty. This is the part that is going to be facing surfaces, that is going to be facing the outside world. Don't grab it with your hands. Grab the strings. So the strings need to be pulled to open the mask, then pulled around the ear, and then cover the face, including the nose and including the chin. Of course, masks have different shapes and sizes, and masks have a metal part that needs to be adapted to the nose. Some masks are bidirectional, that you can wear them inside out and outside in. It doesn't make a difference. Some masks are not. So you want to study them and take a look at them. Naturally, if you're wearing a cloth mask, you can wash it with hot water, and it doesn't matter if the color fades. I share with you some different types of mask design, but you keep it very, very clean. Make sure that you're wearing your mask to cover the nose. The COVID virus spreads through droplet infections. Droplets can come out of the mouth in the form of spit or saliva, and it can also come out through the nose, through sneezing, through mucus. And, breathing doesn't really cause aerosols, but we have aerosols around them. And I'll share with you what we did in the office to eliminate those aerosols. So make sure that you fold the metal part to block your nose. So number one, wash and disinfect your hands, grab the strings, pulling apart, place the strings around your ears, and then cover your face from the nose to the chin. And that's how it's supposed to be. Now, when you're done with the mask, don't just dump it and throw it anywhere, because then it gets contaminated. You are contaminating the surface you're putting it on. You put it on the kitchen counter, it's contaminated. You put it in your kid's room on the carpet, it's contaminated. Remember, the outside of the mask is contaminated. We are fighting an invisible enemy here. Okay, the COVID virus, any virus, is invisible to the naked eye, obviously. You will not see it. You will only see if the mask is soiled or you have some makeup on it, you will see that, but not the virus. So make sure that when you take it off the same way you put it on. You pull the strings, you take it off your face, and it's very nice to put it inside a storage box, tiny little storage box. Storage box as Tupperware works really well, where the mask can dry and stay there. Now, if you want to be extremely cautious, you can take your mask. You can have maybe 7 masks if they're even available, and have one for each day. After 7 days, when the mask is just left alone, it's not going to be an issue because the virus dies off it. And you just give it enough time if you have any doubt. There are certain ways to disinfect a mask with hydrogen peroxide, with Clorox. But in reality, if you just let it be or you hang it, because the inside of the mask is going to absorb some of your own aerosols. And that in itself is an unhealthy thing. So hang it loose somewhere, put it in a box. You can also use a paper bag as long as you put your name on it. It's like your new lunch box. And make sure it's in a safe place. And if you have a household with multiple people, educate everybody about the best practices of handling a mask. Everybody needs to be on board, because it's enough for one person to get infected and infect others, and then the whole thing goes kaput. And we don't want that. So that's why we are creating this training. So mask goes on, take it off, hang it loose. The last thing that you want to do is keep your mask under the chin. It's a contaminated surface, and it's not protecting the environment. You're wearing the mask not just to protect yourself. You're wearing the mask to protect others and prevent the transfer of this virus to other people. A lot of us are probably carriers, especially here. That's what we think. And when carriers walk around and are asymptomatic, even if they're not coughing or sneezing, they may transfer the virus. That's why we must wear a mask to protect everybody else. So make sure that you wear your mask properly. There are certain products on the market. It became a very lucrative business, and you see it now on every corner for $5. And they're probably fine. But you have to be very careful with certain masks. There are do-it-yourself masks that you fabricate yourself. Be extremely cautious, because if a mask gives you trouble breathing and you feel your breathing is labored, that's your number one warning sign, if you feel exhausted at the end of the day, and sometimes we do no matter what, regardless of the mask. That happened before Corona. We work hard. However, if you feel that after wearing a mask for a few hours, you feel very tired, maybe a little bit loopy, and with not a whole lot of energy, there's a pretty good chance you're not getting enough oxygen. You don't need to wear the N95 mask. You can wear, or a surgical mask. You can wear a cloth mask. You can put any covering over your mouth. Remember, the mask is not just for you, it's to prevent droplet infections into the environment, as long as you cover your nose and you cover your mouth as well. So the purpose is to protect yourself and others. But what about the home? How about when we come home, how do we prevent infection from going inside? We are not going to transfer to ourselves, but anything from the outside is suspicious for Corona. Whether these are your groceries, the boxes you get from Amazon, the products from Amazon, Instacart, we would hope that the people that deliver those packages, God bless them, and the people that do our shopping through Instacart and Whole Foods, we hope they keep the same level of hygiene as you. But never assume. The coronavirus is very contagious. So make sure to have great infection control when stuff comes in from the outside. So anything from the outside is suspicious for Corona. We are doing the same thing in our office. We look at our office, and this is our previous waiting room. Now it's a screening room. We look at the office as our home. So we will not let any person or object, for that matter, that is suspicious for Corona to come in. So we'll take extreme measures to prevent that, whether it's our team members or our patients, mail and packages. All of these go through screening and a very rigorous disinfection process. And I wanted to share this with you in this broadcast. Part of our team training did not start with medical and dental training or learning the protocols. We started training our staff, and they were already knowledgeable to begin with. But we started training our staff in how to disinfect groceries. And this is one of the best videos out there. It's a physician showing what to do when you go grocery shopping and what is the process of getting those groceries safe for your house, so there's no suspicion of infection. So watch this video. Just look up preparation for in disinfecting groceries. You'll find some of these resources. I know it's YouTube, but it's great education. And this is what we did in our own practices. And in our practice, we actually looked at things from the outside as being red or dirty. And then we go through a process that transforms them into blue or clean. So we have the peace of mind that any object going to our office, it could be just a letter, or it could be a staff member, is clean and is not posing any risk to the other team members and, of course, the patients. And we are implementing this also with our mail. So we have a dirty bin where the mail goes in. We have now a protocol for our mail people, UPS, FedEx, to never go through the entrance. You'll never see them there, ever. They only go through the back door. They drop what they need to drop in the red bin. That goes through a disinfection process and moves into the blue bin. The same methodology that you may be using right now for your groceries. When you do your shopping, you disinfect them, and then they go into the house, into your fridge, and then they go into your mouth. We want to make that the things that you consume are safe and are safe to your family. It's also very important when you come into the house is to change right away and ideally take a shower, clean yourself up completely, wash your hands, wash your whole body, and you're good to go, giving you a peace of mind and your family as well. This is a fully staged photo of my wife in our backyard. We don't have to go overboard. We don't have to step out of the house with spacesuits. And I made my wife take this picture, of course, with the last paper towels we had and the last box of toilet paper we had. But we have some more. I'll get some from Dr. Rosenblatt. Don't go overboard, but use common sense. Don't rush. Don't touch buttons. Don't touch signs. Don't touch handles if you can. I'll talk about the issue of gloves. We'll have some of our hygienists talk about their best practices at home. If you go out of the house, think about surfaces. Anything that has a surface can potentially harbor the coronavirus. It can be a pen, it can be a cell phone, it could be a door handle, it can be a cart in the supermarket. All of that can harbor the coronavirus. As long as you wash your hands and you don't touch your face and you don't touch the nose and the mouth and the eyes, the corona can also enter through the eyes, you're fine. So one of the advantages of wearing a mask, it almost constantly reminds you not to touch your face, not to itch and not to scratch. And that's a normal thing. Let's face it, we're all humans. But wearing a mask is, again, protecting you, protecting others, reminds you not to touch your face. Now, about gloves, when you go outside, I believe it's excellent practice. It's simply good practice when you go to a place where people look and weigh and touch and are around you. It's great to wear gloves. But here's the flip side. Be very cautious. A lot of people wearing gloves, they feel they're protected, and then they touch a lot of other things, including their face, with the gloves. And this glove transmits the coronavirus just the same way. So gloves are great, but you still cannot touch your face, and you still have to take those gloves off. When you're out of the market, take those gloves off, discard them in a civilized way. We see, of course, not the people on this webinar, but we see so much pollution and garbage in parking lots with gloves on the floor. It's a shame. It's not degradable, and it's bad for us, and it looks ugly. So we discard of it, put it in the trash bag, or if you have a little trash bag, you put it in there, and you must wash your hands right after. Don't get fooled by the fact that you had gloves on. You wash your hands, you can sanitize them if you're in your car, and then you move on. As you come home with your groceries, well, put another pair of gloves on, put them next to your door, and then start the process of disinfection. We're just disinfecting with Clorox wipes. If you can get some. If you can't get them anymore, you can make your own Clorox wipes. Just look it up. It's very, very simple to do. Just make sure to add lemon to it, because otherwise it smells pretty bad. Now, I never knew that grocery shopping with my wife could be so much fun and so enjoyable, and going through this procedure of shopping. My wife, as you can tell, has the shield. She bought the latest gadgets and always looks good and likes to look good, even grocery shopping in the corona time. And that's kind of fun. The problem is for 1 hour of shopping, you have about half an hour of disinfecting. So just keep it in mind. Another question that was asked by our patients: should kids wear masks? And a lot of our patients have kids at all different ages. Do they need to wear masks? They're at home anyhow. Yes, they don't need to wear masks at home, but I hope you're not locking them in. Hopefully we can take them in a safe way, in a socially distanced way, to get great exercise. Remember, physical fitness is the key. And I believe it's important for the kids to wear masks for a very simple reason. We need to get them used to the mask. The mask is going to be one of the best friends. And as you know, kids, they'll lose things. No offense, we know that we've all been kids. They will touch everything. They'll touch their face. They'll touch their mouth. They'll bite their nails. And they do all sorts of things that are not acceptable anymore, not from a manners. It's because of infections. So it's another opportunity to reemphasize how important infection control is. So the mask is very important. There's a whole industry out there for masks for kids. The adult masks are not going to fit them, and they don't even grasp. I have kids between 14 and 4. You can see some of them right here. They kind of got used to it right away, and they wear it. Yes, they drop it when we go biking in the neighborhood, or they do something, then we wash it, and we have multiples. But get them used to it, because as we go back to our routine life, what's going to happen? They're going to need the mask, and that's going to be mandatory, very, very likely. Get them used to it right now. And if you don't have kids, or you have older kids, educate your grandchildren. We have a lot of patients with grandchildren and grandchildren. So it's a very important topic that is not commonly discussed. Again, a word of caution. There is a big push for N95. Yes, we need them as clinicians, as surgeons, as people that are treating patients. And we're pretty much up close. I'll show you what we do with this in our practice. But you have to be extremely cautious. A lot of these restrict your breathing. It's not a fitness mask. It's not an elevation mask where you get fit and your lungs become stronger. It's an actual hazard for your lungs. It's an actual hazard for your well-being because of hypoxia. Hypoxia is the lack of low oxygen in your blood, and that affects the brain and your focus, and the whole physical and mental being can be affected by it. So don't try to take a mask over a mask over a mask to be safe. It's good enough when you're a civilian, a non-doctor, and you're not practicing surgery or dentistry, to wear a face cover. As long as you cover your mouth and your nose, and ideally cover your eyes. Wear some shades. If you have glasses, that's good enough because the coronavirus can go through it as well. Our practice is a masked environment. And when you come into our practice, you'll see our staff. So that's probably, and I'm going to have all the hygienists go turn their camera on and their microphones on, including Dr. Rosenblatt. Our office is a masked environment. So you will not see, and myself included, you will not see these beautiful faces and these lovely faces smiling at you. We will be smiling under the mask. We will be smiling with our eyes. You will see us, but you will not see our face because our whole practice is masked. Dr. Rosenblatt, how do you feel about seeing your patients now? They will not see your face and you will only see them. What are your thoughts about it?
Well, I'm very lucky that I know most of my patients, but it's going to be unfortunate that if I meet some new patients, they may not have seen my face. And hopefully, at some point outside of the office or when we can afford to be without a mask, the problem is for new patients, they will see us only in a masked environment, but we'll still try to be nice to them nevertheless.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Good. So I wanted to introduce again the hygienists of our practice. They are highly experienced hygienists, all USC graduates, top of their class, highly recommended, straight from hygiene school into our practice through a special contact, because we always wanted to have the top of the class hygienists to join our practice. And that's indeed what they proved to us over the past few decades. So I'm going to have Stacie say a few words. Stacie, you've been with us how many years?
It'll be 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so hi everybody, all my patients. I just want to say thank you for tuning into this webinar. We miss you. On behalf of all the hygienists, I want to say we miss our patients. You'll be hearing from Allison and Miriam today, but also there's Veronica, Leslie, Deanne, and Robin, and they're also watching today, and they want you to know they miss you and they're looking forward to seeing you very soon. So as far as myself, I've been having a wonderful time with my family. My son has chosen to quarantine with us. So he's turning 25 at the end of the month. So I've had him home for a couple months, which was really nice. And my daughter and family with my grandson have chosen to put us in their quarantine family. So my grandson James turns 6 months old tomorrow. So I've been doing a lot of cooking and babysitting, and that part's been fine. But I do miss my job, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. As far as our patients, we just want to encourage you that when you're home quarantined, to really take this time to do your 2-minute brushing at night, especially, and in the morning. And I know it's boring, but it really works. And we're trying to get you to minimize the bacterial growth because it will come back every 24 hours. And to use your floss or your interdental picks or your proxy brushes, whatever your hygienist has recommended in your problem areas, this is your time to really spend that extra minute or two because it will make a huge difference. And a lot of you are overdue, and we're sorry about that. But don't worry, we have your backs, we'll get you in. And as long as you stay with your oral hygiene, you're going to be fine. So I just don't want you to worry. And preventing bacteria and controlling the bacteria in your mouth will help you systemically. It's been proven that it helps with heart disease, arterial blockage, and strokes. So just spend that extra few minutes on your oral hygiene. And we again look forward to seeing you very soon on behalf of all of us.
Excellent. Thank you, Stacie. It's so lovely to see you. And yes, there was a suggestion here from one of our patients. We should walk around with some selfie photos so we know who is who. I think you will be able to recognize our eyes. We will have name tags as well. And we will get through this in the best possible way. We knew right away when we closed our office that medicine has changed forever. Things have changed. And all the changes that we're making, even if they're difficult changes for us and everybody involved, they are in your best interest, in your benefit to keep you infection-free and our team in a great environment. So Stacie, thank you for your words.
So it's great to see everyone who decided to come and watch the webinar. We're really excited to get back to work and see everybody. During the quarantine, I've just been with my kids and my husband, cooking, and I've been doing a lot of continuing education credits through the dental societies, trying to stay current on everything that's going on in dentistry. Also lots of cooking and playing ping pong. My husband set up a ping pong table, so that's been a lot of fun. And my daughter Emma is home from college, and my boys are playing a lot of video games, but doing their homeschooling, so everything's been great. But we really miss coming into the office and seeing all of you and all of my colleagues, and I'm really eager to get back to work and see everyone. I just am really grateful to work for Dr. Rosenblatt and Dr. Simon, who have really gone above and beyond to make sure that our practice is really safe, and not just for us staff, but for all of you patients. I'm so impressed with what they've done and all the research. I work for another dentist and they don't know what to do. So this is amazing to work in this practice. And I just want to remind everybody during this time to please remember to do your fluoride treatment if you have a prescription fluoride or at-home ACT rinse. It's really important since we haven't seen you in so long. You can be more cavity prone, especially if you have a dry mouth. And to hydrate and make sure you're drinking a lot of water and eating healthy. We really want to make sure that we keep your mouth infection free so that you can avoid any emergencies, and we'll get you in just as soon as we can. We'll be in the office soon to get your teeth cleaned, and we look forward to seeing you. Thank
Excellent,
you so
Allison.
much.
Thank you for your words. And we're going to move to Miss Miriam Alimi, our hygienist of 16 years, 17 years almost.
Yes,
closer to that.
Actually, 18 years soon.
18 years. Wow, that's a good number.
Thank you. Yes, it is. Good afternoon. It's so nice to be here. Hope everyone's well. And thank you for attending the webinar. I really appreciate seeing all of you guys coming in. I am excited to see everyone very soon in our office. Meanwhile, I hope everyone's staying safe and trying your best to keep steady in these confusing times. I'm personally very busy with my kids. I'm homeschooling everyone. As some of you may know, I have 3 children, 16, 14, and 6. And, I'm learning and relearning in order to help them out with their studies. And it's been a challenge, but we're all well, thank God. But I can't wait to resume my hygiene duties and come back to our office. I do have some suggestions as far as oral hygiene goes. I recommend rinsing with and gargling with an antibacterial solution. At our office, we love Closis. It's a new rinse that has been accepted by American Dental Association. And I can spell Closis for you. It's CLOSYS. And it's been known not only to kill bacteria, but also some viruses. We are also going to use it for pre-rinse when you do come into our office before your teeth cleaning or any procedures, to use it for about a minute. And suggested rinse time is for 30 seconds to 60 seconds at home, morning and night. But if you are using a prescription fluoride or ACT, I would suggest using it morning and midday, and night would be your prescription fluoride. Now, as far as general health, I do like to suggest, as places are opening, streets are becoming more busy, I suggest for our patients to don't forget to still wear your mask and keep your distance from others. When you do come to our office, to our building, please try to take some extra time and reserve some time to come in. We do have a stairs that is by the valet in the lobby that you can take to come upstairs to our third floor office, or you can use the elevator. When you do use the elevator, try to come one at a time. So this way you still keep your social distancing. And if you do touch the buttons or the handles, door handles in our office or in the elevator, we do have an automated hand sanitizer that you could use and sterilize your hands. With that said, I wish everybody very safe and healthy stay, and we can't wait to see you. And thank you so much. And thank you to doctors. We are so lucky to be working for you.
Thank you, Miriam. That was very helpful. Thank you for the advice. I'm going to actually field a couple of questions that I think the hygienist can answer very nicely. What about the toothbrush? Do we need to change a toothbrush now every week? It's a question from Anne. I'm using a Sonicare, but it seems like that could be a petri dish of bacteria. So what would you recommend in regards to toothbrush? Let's call it in general, but also in this time.
Hi, I would suggest treating it like any other bacteria. You're going to let it air dry in between use. If you want to have a second toothbrush to alternate, but as long as you thoroughly clean it and let it air dry, it should be okay. I think changing it once a week is a little bit overkill. That's just my opinion, especially with an electric toothbrush. I don't know if the
Excellent.
other
that's a great point. What we think, and this is what we're seeing in some of the research, the COVID-19 is not the first virus we're dealing with in our history. So we don't feel that we need to change our toothbrush or have a special disinfection, because even if you disinfect it, what happens to the surface? The person that has it is going to be contagious anyhow. So great advice from Stacie. Thank you. Anything else, Miriam or Allison, to add about toothbrushes? And there's also a question that you may want to answer about what specific mouthwash do you recommend, or do we make our own?
So with the mouthwash, we really do like Closest, and we've seen a lot of good effects on patients' mouths. So that is our recommendation, I believe, for all the hygienists, right? And I'm agreeing with Stacie about the toothbrush and Dr. Simon.
Excellent. And I'm going to move to Dr. Rosenblatt. There's a question here from Frida. Hi, Frida. Will we ever not wear masks anymore? Ari, what are your thoughts about, are we ever going to be walking around just like that without masks? What is your prediction? And we're recording this, so we'll go back years back and we'll see what you said. What are your thoughts?
Well, I remember being in dental school, and I remember being in first years of practice where we actually worked without gloves in patient's mouth, and those times seem to be ancient. I think that in the dental environment, the hygienists and we doctors are used to wear masks and have always worn them. I think until there is a vaccine, we will probably still use masks in any environment until we feel secure having had a vaccine, or for any reason the virus disappeared. But I can foresee only, unfortunately, that for the next year and a half, we will get used to have a masked environment.
Excellent, thank you. Yeah, I feel the same way. So right now, masks are the standard. Remember, the mask protects you, but also protects others. And the same principle applies in our practice. When you come for your treatments, you will see all of us wearing different types of masks, depending on the procedure we're performing. It's meant to protect us, but it's also protecting you, because you will not get any aerosols or droplets from the actual people in the office. And I'll talk about the protocols in a minute. So a little bit about our preparation going into the post-COVID era, or the area where we have to practice with COVID, Ari, pretty much you and I became obsessed with preparation and spending hours and hours online and on the phone with different companies. And how difficult or easy was it to find the stuff, the protective equipment?
Well, it's pretty common knowledge that masks are very difficult to get for patients, and believe it or not, even for doctors. In the first couple of weeks, we couldn't purchase any kind of mask because we didn't want to jeopardize the frontline response of doctors in emergency rooms. But afterwards, it was still difficult, but we managed to get a few supplies here in the United States. But I had to reach out to Europe. I had to reach out, unfortunately, also to China, and had to wait for stuff to be shipped. But I can assure all our staff members, as well as our patients, that at this particular moment, we are equipped to treat everybody with the appropriate protective equipment, with the appropriate mask for patients who forget to bring their mask to us, and also with a lot of new disinfection materials. And I think somewhere down the line in the lecture, we will talk about what new materials we are using and some patient can use, because we know how difficult it is to get Clorox and other particular products.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how much knowledge we acquired in those 2 months. Every once in a while, I would find myself at 1 o'clock at night on my computer doing something work-related in preparation, and then I would get a text message from Dr. Rosenblatt that he found a special link where we can get the special machine that does this and that happened more than once. So, Ari, thank you for your dedication and all your help in making our practice so well prepared. I feel so comfortable even coming as a patient, getting my own teeth cleaned right in here. So in the next segment, and Ari, stay on camera and stay on microphone. In the next segment, I wanted to share with you also more tips and more things that have to do with your health, and also share with you what are the protocols when you come to our office. What is different? What are we doing to protect you? What are we doing to protect our staff and the doctors? So when you arrive, it's not the same anymore. We created a lot of protocols, actually turned into a book that we are now publishing online, and we're giving it out for free to anybody who wants to get it, meaning for dentists. So their practices are protected. We created our own protocols emulating those 2 practices in Germany and in Korea that had 0 COVID infections. And we're now implementing those protocols that are meant to minimize the number of people in the office, minimize interactions, and minimize a potential infection. Of course, screening everybody from the outside so we don't have any infection going into our practices. The first thing that you will find is that when we confirm your appointment, you will get more text reminders. And in one of the text reminders, you will see a link. This is an actual link that leads you to something that we call the wellness form. It's a quick link. It'll take you just a couple of seconds to fill out. Basically, it talks about the symptoms, so we know that you don't have any symptoms. We apply the same thing for our staff members as well. If you forget to fill out the text, we will give you the actual form in the office. But as you come into the office, we want to minimize your time there for your sake and for everybody's sake. So fill this out on your cell phone. Very simple. We record it. It's all HIPAA compliant. And then we know that you're clear to come. We will not make an appointment if this form is not filled out. Another major difference is the whole check-in process is different. We have the step-by-step. These are 10 steps. You don't have to remember them. This is our job. But when you arrive, when you're clear to go, don't just walk in. We will text you when we're ready for you. That's a major difference. If before you had an appointment at a certain time, maybe you came 2-3 minutes before to check the restroom, well, that's not going to happen anymore, because we have a special screening process. And part of the screening process is that you don't walk in. You can wait in your car, you can wait downstairs, you can wait in the hallway. We have some lines on the floor for social distancing, but that's totally your choice. When we're ready for you, when you come in, you will see our welcome sign. You'll also see our delivery sign. We want to show you that delivery people don't come in the front anymore. That's how it used to be. Come in, get a signature and leave. Drop some mail and drop some packages. Not happening anymore. It's all through the back door. The only people that go in through the front are you, the patients. We don't allow any more accompaniments. Again, we're minimizing the number of people in the office. So if you have a friend, a spouse, a kid, a dog, then they cannot come in anymore. Now, if you have a certain disability, or you must have somebody with you, then let us know ahead of time. We are equipped to help you out. We have a wheelchair, and we'll make certain provisions for patients who do need an accompaniment. We will accommodate you, but we want to make sure that you know that the process of just walking in is no longer there. We're in the process of making sure that the restroom is open so you can check the restroom. So wait outside, downstairs in your car, wait for a text to come in telling you, we're ready for you, please walk in. And then it's a very simple process. It's a 1, 2, 3 process where we ask you to sanitize your hand. We have a touchless hand sanitizer. If you're not wearing a mask, we'll give you a mask. We'll provide it to you, complimentary, of course, and we'll take your temperature. These are the 3 things that happen right as you walk in. It's a very quick process. It should not take more than 20 to 30 seconds, and we got you covered. We make sure that everything is in order, that you don't have any symptoms. Again, it's for the sake of your patients and yours. Sanitize your hands. We have these everywhere in the office, especially in the front and different strategic places. We then measure your temperature. If your temperature is normal, below 100 Fahrenheit, and if you didn't fill out the form, we have a form for you. We'll quickly fill it out. And you'll see those sneeze guards, similar to banks. You'll see those protections between the waiting room and the front. We have some of them as well in the inside part of the office. We want you to be prepared for what's there. It's very professionally looking, professionally installed based on the guidelines. And we changed the purpose of the waiting room. We repurposed it to a screening room. So you will not see 10 people waiting around side by side, chatting and checking their phones or reading magazines. Actually, there are no more magazines. There's nothing that requires touch passages. If we ever give you a pen, you can keep it. It's yours to keep. We don't change it. If you want, bring your own pen, or don't bring a pen at all. Most of our forms are going to be fully digital. Payments will slowly be more online payments to, again, facilitate this whole process, make it easier for you and for us, make it more effective, but the most important thing, make it safe for everybody involved. We applied the same principles for check-in to our staff. Our staff members walk in with a mask. There's no such thing as, actually, we walk in with a mask from the moment we leave the house. And the exception is the house and the car. So our staff members, our team members walk in with a mask. That includes the doctors. The doctors are not exempt from the screening. We sanitize our hands immediately as we walk into the office. We take our temperature. We mark a form where we screen for symptoms, and we log it in. Doctors and team member, no matter the seniority, no matter if you're a doctor, an assistant, hygienist, or a front desk coordinator. Everything gets logged in. And we have those steps very clearly in a publication that is coming out soon called the Corona Protocols. The Corona Protocols are not any official publication of the CDC. This is our own publication to share the knowledge that we acquired in the past 2 months with other dentists, with the community, and with dentists globally. Anywhere a dentist is, they can contact us. You can also have your dentist contact us and get a free copy of the Corona Protocols. So we are all protected. And if we can help one dentist and one patient, and if we can help not just our own patients and our own staff and help more people around the world, then we did our job, and we will be able to sleep well at night. And we usually sleep well at night, and we don't want to change that. So we're doing a due diligence in all aspects of preparation. Now, it may take a little bit longer. It's a new process. It's a new world. It may take a little bit longer for us to prepare for you, placing our PPE. There's a whole protocol of how we place it, in what order. It depends on the procedure we're doing. It depends on what's involved. Depends on the surrounding. It takes a little bit more time, but we figured this out in the scheduling system that we will be implementing here. We are fully prepared for you. When the procedure is done, we have a protocol of how we take the PPE, the personal protective equipment, off. You see, when I take off my mask, I don't grab it with my hands. I grab the strings and pull it out. This happens to be an N95 mask that you don't need to use on as a non-dentist or non-clinician. But the systems are applied. We have an actual mask guide for our own staff. Our own staff has all the training on how to handle all the different aspects. And of course, washing hands is the most critical thing. Our staff now, as part of our Corona protocols, washes or sanitizes their hands every 30 minutes. Yes, we need some lotion at the end of the day because our hands will become dry. But what's a dry hand compared to the benefit of safety and having not just the safety, but also the peace of mind? So we use the latest materials in cleaning surfaces. I'm going to have Dr. Rosenblatt talk to us a little bit about some of our research when it comes to disinfecting surfaces.
So welcome everybody again. And after doing a lot of research for over 200 hours at least each for the doctors, we came up with a new product because we know that Clorox is difficult to get and also maybe a little bit more toxic to certain surfaces. And for everybody to know, because it can be also used at home, we decided on a product that is called HOCl. It's hypochloric acid. And it sounds like very dangerous, but it's basically very similar to a very benign chlorine solution. And we are using it in different concentration. We are using it in a certain concentration that can clean every surface in the operatory, and it will clean up to 99.98% of any virus, including the COVID virus. In different concentrations, we are actually using a very new procedure of fogging the air in the office. And when we fog the air in the office with special instruments, this particular solution will cover every particular surface. We went even further to have one of the newest machine, a fogging machine, that charges the ions, plus, minus, negativity, and positivity. So this air solution will basically encapsulate every virus in the air. It will go around any kind of corners and will keep the office and everybody safe. The nice thing about this solution is that it's totally non-toxic. You can immediately breathe the air of it. It's totally non-toxic. And for you at home, if you are interested to not have the difficulties of getting Clorox, you can go on the site that's called Ecolex. And they have actually a machine that looks like a coffee maker, and you can make that solution yourself at home. And you look in the internet under Ecolex. And if you want to get educated about this particular product that's now being used worldwide, you can go on the internet to a site called Pure and Clean and get yourself educated. The other thing, what we are now seeing and get validated by using it, this particular solution and fogging solution and disinfection solution is being now used in the airline industry. It's being used like to clean every public space because it's so effective and because it's also non-toxic. So be assured that this place is going to be as safe as it can be for us, our staff, and the most important thing is for you as patients.
Excellent. Dr. Rosenblatt, how do you spell Ecolect? A question from Susan.
It is ECOLOX and then a new word, tech, TECH. You can just Google it. and get the homemaker version of it. And the only thing you need to buy with it is salt, and you can make your own solution.
Beautiful, beautiful. There are a lot of great questions here in the Q&A in the chat, and we will talk about it, both of us. So Dr. Rosenblatt shared with you the cleaning equipment, the disinfectants that we are currently using. We are also disinfecting the most commonly touched surfaces in the office, like doorknobs, like light switches, buttons, counters. Every hour on the hour, there's actually a login sheet. We use those products that are non-toxic. We have a whole system of how this is going to be done in the office. We are almost ready to open here. We'll have a sign-in sheet where every surface was disinfected. And same with the mail. Every mail is suspicious for corona. It is suspicious because it's coming from the outside. We don't know. We have a process of disinfecting it with all those materials that are non-toxic to the operator and in the office, and we turn them blue. And now they can get to their final destination. When you walk in, you will also see separators. We actually created a brand new room. Believe it or not, we did a small remodel in the office in the back side, what we call room number 7. It's our surgical suite. We created a whole room that we call CPR, the Corona Prevention Room, that will house all the equipment and all the materials and what needs to be used in order for a practice to be corona safe. It used to be called Jane's room. Jane, if you've been in our practice for, maybe a little bit longer, Jane was an older, beautiful lady that her past was a little bit mysterious. And some say she was a CIA agent at one point or another. We never knew how old she was. She was gorgeous, and she's been with us. She was with us for a long time. In this room, the CPR, the Corona Prevention Room, was her room. This is where she used to work on charts and write letters. So we're still going to keep it as Jane's room, but now we repurposed it in light of what's going on. So you will see those semi-clear separators in the hallway to separate our surgical room from the rest of the office. And also when you have your teeth cleaned, we will definitely close the door to not just because of privacy, but also to create some separation with the hallway. We have the luxury to have doors in each and every office. So Jane, if you're watching it somewhere and we don't know where, we using your room, we're putting it to good use. And she was just a wonderful lady that, I got to meet her. Ari, any words about Jane from what you remember?
We met Jane actually at the bank. She was a retired clerk at the bank, and she used to work in our office more than 15 years. And we basically adopted her since she had no family. Unfortunately, more than a couple of years ago, she passed away. But we kept the memory, and that's where we dedicated the room in her name.
Thank you. Yeah, this was an emotional moment for us, having Jane's room. Ari, would you like to share with us, moving on to a little bit more equipment that you did so much research about and purchased for our office? What about those HEPA filters? A lot of patients are asking about those.
Again, we did a lot of research, and patients may be aware that the whole internet is filled with many different kind of equipment. A lot of people are speaking about ultraviolet light, and there are some products that are totally not efficient, but are being marketed. But there are hospital-grade UV apparatus. The problem with UV is that you can't be in the room. The problem with UV is that it creates ozone, and there's some problems attached to it. So after all the research, we decided to buy 4 HEPA filter machines strategically placed in the office. And we chose this particular machine, and it's from the company that actually has their headquarters here in California. And the name of the company is IQ Air. We chose that company because the government of Singapore and in Hong Kong, when the SARS virus outbreak was 10, 15 years ago happening in Asia, this particular company was certified by the government that those filters machines were bought, and basically they are FDA approved to filter the air, and it happens to be one of the few machines that, again, nothing is 100%, but it cleans the 0.003 microns, including the virus, COVID virus, and we felt that we needed to have this in the office. So at any particular point, this machine turns over the air, and literally was a few minutes after a procedure is being done or when a patient is left, the air is being totally cleaned and is virus-free.
Excellent. So this is our, we placed them strategically in the office. So when you come to the office, you can take a deep breath. The air is clean. We have one in the waiting room as well. It's no longer a waiting room, it's a screening room. But we wanted to make sure that the whole office has fresh air. What is the process that we now are implementing for the water lines?
We have done the water line cleaning. We have treated always our water to make sure that the water that comes from the water syringes, as well as from our surgical instruments and handpieces when you do any drilling, the water was always very clean, and we have a certain system that established that the water is not only virus and bacteria free, but that the lines of the water are clean and have no biofilm. We went further because the office was closed for more than 6 to 8 weeks, and we do it routinely, and now even more. We treated all the water line with a certain shock system, and we have an independent agency actually verifying that the water in our treatment rooms that's being applied during treatment is totally clean and certified that it has no bacteria, no viruses, and we have the luxury of having a testing system to verify it.
Excellent. So now the thing that is actually impossible to get, these machines are called aerosol capturing machines. They capture the aerosol from the air. If it's not captured inside the mouth during a procedure, they are captured by this machine. It looks like a mechanical elephant, right? And it actually is placed in front of the patient's mouth. So there are certain procedures, mostly surgical procedures, that produce aerosols. So what we did initially, first thing we did, all the cleanings are now aerosol free. There's no more what we call a cavitron, or the machine that spritzes a lot of water. We're going to do some hand polishing. So there's not going to be any more aerosols during your conventional cleaning. You will have a thorough cleaning that will make your gums healthy and will prevent bone loss and prevent gum loss. But we're just doing it a little bit different to make sure we're keeping everybody safe. So when you have your surgical procedure done, if you need one, then the aerosol capturing machine is placed right in front of the mouth. So even whatever comes out of there, we're capturing 99% inside the mouth. So whatever is escaping, we can capture with the machine. Ari, anything to add about the machine and how we got it? Because that's impossible to get. We have actually two.
We were very lucky to, because of your lecturing nationwide and all our connections, that our office was chosen to get the first two machines. We have already one there. I think the next one is expected to arrive next week. And this has been a godsend, because this makes it really safe for us and the patients and our staff to be in a clean environment, even if during surgery we have to generate aerosols.
Yes, thank you. It's a great machine to have. And this is the fogger that Ari, you mentioned before, that contains the special disinfectant. It's called the hydrochlorous acid, which is safe. And those two practices in Korea and in Germany have been using it in a hotspot with 0 infections. By the way, just a little bit of trivia. In Wuhan Dental School, or Department of Stomatology, which is basically dentistry, the rate of infection of a dentist and a dental staff in Wuhan, in China, was 0.47%. And nobody could really explain why. But we know why, because dentists have been living with respiratory infections the whole career. We are used to that. We are constantly protecting ourselves. We're constantly disinfecting surfaces, and we're constantly using sterile technique, that when this stat came out from Wuhan, we were not very surprised.
The other thing that I want to add is that when any patients are purchasing the home unit to produce this HOCl solution, this particular solution in a little bottle with a spray attached to it can clean all the fruits and all the supplies from the supermarket, as well as packages. And again, it's non-toxic, and it's as effective as the Clorox, and it's as effective as Lysol. So that might be a nice alternative for all the patients to purchase, since all the other stuff is either not available or more expensive and actually toxic.
Excellent. So we're very close to our Q&A. This is a piece of information we found out actually recently, after we started to implement the fogger machine, that the same technology, just on a bigger scale, is now used by many of the Fortune 500 companies in big factories, in big construction sites, in boats. Ari, this is something that you came across just recently, after we already started implementing it. It was almost like a proof that we're on the right track.
Yeah, this was just actually in the news today as a blurb to show that this particular solution, HOCl, is now being used on a much bigger scale because it's much more economic, and again, it's non-toxic, and therefore a lot of big companies and a lot of people who are using the public spaces are going to be protected by it now.
Excellent, excellent. So thank you for sharing that. That's extremely important. So all these protocols are now implemented in our office. We are readily sharing it with the community and with the world. We're not saying that we are better than other doctors. We're not saying we are more prepared than other doctors. We are simply sharing what we've done in the office to keep our patients safe, our team safe, us safe, and have a great work environment. And if you cannot get an N95, try the LV95. It's now available in Beverly Hills. So check it out. On behalf of myself and Dr. Ari Rosenblatt, my partner and good friend, and our whole team that is waiting for you in the office, and our team is actually here on this webinar. We came prepared, we're focused, we're calm, and we got you covered. Thank you. And let's get our lovely hygienist back on camera, and we'll do some Q&A. We have lots of great questions here in the chat and in the Q&A. Some are great, some we'll have to actually use our brains. These are questions we've never been asked before. And that's also one of the goals of a teacher, and we are teachers. The word doctor in Latin means teacher. So by definition, we are teachers, and teachers teach because they want to learn. And we are learning from our patients. So let's go over a couple of questions when it comes to practicing dentistry at the times of Corona. So a question's from Larry. Hi, Larry, how are you? Where do we purchase the hypochloric acid, the HOCl? I'll let Dr. Rosenblatt respond to that. Where do we purchase that as a civilian, a non-doctor?
You can just Google it, and when you Google it, there are more than a few companies who are producing it. The best site that I found is Pure and Clean. Just Google Pure and Clean, and you'll find out all the information about this particular solution. If you are interested to buy the home unit, then again, go to Ecolox, ECOLOX, Tech, TECH, and there you can buy the home unit to produce it.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Larry, and be well. And thank you to Amanda for such a beautiful comment. Thank you so much for this. I'm so impressed and grateful. And we are grateful for patients like you. And we are looking forward to seeing you. Next time I'll bump into you in the Pacific Palisades, you'll see my whole family with masks. So Amanda, it's great to have you here. And she's laughing in the chat. We will also send you the recording of this webinar so you can share it with other people, with your family, with your friends, with your doctors. I have a comment here from Mr. Jerry, who has been in our practice for only 30 years. And he says, and I'm sure he's going to allow me to quote, he says, "You guys should get a prize for what you've done." Okay, that's not about prizes, but I went to a doctor's office at Cedars-Sinai and didn't find 1/10 of all the hoopla that you guys went through. Okay, and it was a big hoopla, but thank you, Jerry, and it's great to have you as a patient. Jerry's asking, do you still offer gas? Yes, we do offer gas, meaning laughing gas, nitrous oxide, it's still offered. We have an individual nose piece for each patient. We don't share those, and it's yours with your name on it. So every time you come in and you get your nitrous oxide to reduce some dental anxiety, we will use your own nose piece. And that's a great question. There was a very important question here from Francine. I'm 74 years old. Should I wait until the restrictions are lifted for seniors before I come in for my cleaning? Thank you very much for the presentation. You're very welcome, and it's great to see you here in this webinar. And, you know, that's a great question. Our office is safe to come in. It's safe to come in. You don't have to, you know, whether you're 74, and by the way, you're a very young 74, and you look wonderful, but it's not so much the question of age. It's more of a question if you can come in medically. I don't see any issue with that, but I'm going to let Dr. Rosenblatt to relate to this question as well.
I would add only the following to it. There is always a pro and a con for leaving the isolation of your home. And I think regarding this particular question, it's pretty obvious. If somebody has some pre-existing conditions and have checked with their physicians, we would recommend that you would consult with your doctor and weigh the pro and the con of leaving your isolation. On the other hand, I just today happened to have the time to watch CNN, the Senate hearing about the COVID-19 virus. And politics aside, and no matter which party you belong to, I listened to Susan Collins asking the head of the CDC the question. And the problem is that she mentioned the following sentence: a little cavity, if not treated, becomes a big cavity. If the big cavity that you now have is not being treated, will end up in a root canal. And if you don't do the root canal, then postponing it will cause an extraction. I think this particular question, at which time and when to come in, is an individual question that should be decided and consulted with your loved one and your doctor. But there are certain disadvantages of postponing your regular preventive care. And I think everyone has to answer that question by themselves. The only assurances that I can give our patient that when they walk into our office, they are going to be as well protected as any other place. And without making any derogatory comments, we heard before that other people have visited some other offices. We have went beyond everything to make sure that our office is going to be a safe environment for all our patients, including our staff.
Thank you, Ari. Very well said. And really the practice, the way we look at our practice, it is our home. And in our home, the home is your safe haven. That's how we look at our practice. That's how we look at our team members. That's how we look at our patients. And the most important thing in life really is obviously the health, but we also want to have a peace of mind. And we did not spare any time, energy, and finances or money to equip our office. There's a question here from Kathy. Is there any evidence that the coronavirus can survive in the refrigerator and or in the freezer? Can it survive there? Are any thoughts about that?
I think as far as I know, heat, that's why you're supposed to wash your hand with soap and warm water. I think heat kills it. I think if you have something that's covered in the virus and leave it in the refrigerator, I wouldn't trust it. Anything that goes into our refrigerator is being disinfected first.
Excellent. Yes, and another just to add a small part to it. Of course, if you have any doubt, if you leave something just standing out, and I'm not talking about stuff that is perishable, obviously that needs to be refrigerated, but anything from the outside, if you just leave it in your garage or outside for, let's say, a week, 3 days is probably enough, but let's say a week, the virus will just cease to exist. There is a question from Mike. When will your office be calling us for cleanings that we missed? We are in the process of calling the many patients that want to come in and need to come in. Unfortunately, gum disease is a process that doesn't stop. Even in the corona time, it keeps continuing. It slowly degrades the gums and the bone. But we will catch up and we will make sure that your gums and oral health is in great shape when you get your next cleaning done. There's a question from Liana. Is it okay to gargle with hydrogen peroxide to help kill the virus in the throat? Well, hydrogen peroxide, hopefully in a diluted way, is an excellent mouthwash and disinfectant and kills bacteria. But just remember that the coronavirus is not just in the throat, it's in the nasal passages. This is where the testing is done, and you can gargle in there. So unfortunately, there's no way to kill the virus, at least in the nasal passages.
Ziv, the only other thing that I may want to add is that we love in the office, and the hygienist mentioned the product closest. But for anybody who can't get a hold of it and sees at the supermarket or in the internet the product Paroxyl, that's basically diluted hydrogen peroxide. And that's another very good product that has been shown in research to reduce the viral load and eliminate it if you gargle or rinse with it.
Excellent, thank you. There's a comment here from Frida. First of all, Frida, please thank your husband, Mark, who's also a patient of ours, for correcting a typo in the email. So tell him it's appreciated. We missed this one. Frida says, great information. Thank you for the extensive research and implementation of protocols. Personally, I feel trust and comfort in going to your office when needed. Thank you for allowing us to share your webinar with our family, our doctors, etc., etc. So thank you, Frida, for the kind comments. So I'm going to stop the share for a second, and there are a couple more questions that we'll be answering. A question here from Lauren. Lauren says, I have heard that the N95 masks with a valve are not recommended because the valve allows release of aerosolized material through the valve to the outside, which makes them ineffective to protect people around you. Do you have a comment on this? So, Lauren, there is something to it. There is something to it. It still needs to be researched, but the latest information, again, from those practices in Germany, allude to it, that potentially the valve can release some aerosol around, but we need to prove that. Ari, do you have any comments about these types of masks?
I would agree with you, but I would get back on the first comment that as a patient, you don't have to use any sophisticated mask. You don't have to spend the money for it. You can use the bandanas. You can use any kind of mask, just preventing your air to be exhaled for the safety of other people as well as protecting yourself.
Beautiful. There's an excellent question here from a patient by the name of Robin. And Robin, of course, we can also answer it personally, but just to rephrase your question, in light of the extended stay-at-home recommendation, would it be good time for me to have my gum grafting done now? Meaning, we're not working, we have the time to do it, our office is open, and I'm going to say just give a quick answer, but pass it on to Dr. Rosenblatt. Our practice is prepared to perform these necessary procedures, and we are implementing these protocols. The decision to come and the urgency depends on what we are treating. Any comments, Dr. Rosenblatt, in regards to, can we do our surgeries now? Gum grafting, extractions, and things like that.
Again, I would think that, as I said before, everybody has to make the decision how and when to leave their isolation. But for anybody who is not having any immunity problem or any significant health problems, we know and we heard in the news that the plastic surgeons and the orthopedic surgeon for hip surgery and so on basically are allowed to go ahead because there were some side effects of postponing elective surgery for many, many reasons. So as long as somebody individually doesn't have a health hazard to be exposed because of immunity or because of any underlying disease, they, at this particular moment, are coming to the safest environment, and I wouldn't hesitate to do it. Beautiful.
So there's a great question here from an anonymous attendee. And it's a wonderful question, and it's a question that is pertinent. Does your recommendation for cleaning your toothbrush apply to someone who is tested positive for COVID-19 during their 14-day isolation? So somebody who did have COVID and recovered, thank God, how do we disinfect their toothbrush? If there are any good practices? And of course, this type of infection is new. I would make one suggestion. If you tested positive for COVID and you're now in isolation, you need to isolate yourself, and that includes your toothbrush, from everybody around you. You don't want to get your toothbrush or anything that you come in contact with another person. So number one, if you stay in isolation, everything stays with you. You're not passing it to anybody else. So that's common sense advice number one. If you're very concerned about the COVID residing on the toothbrush, which is very likely because it's saliva and it's coming from your mouth, then I would try to get multiple toothbrushes at CVS, get 20 toothbrushes, and keep changing them. Now, you don't have to throw them away. It's not a single use. You don't have to throw them away. Clean them, disinfect them. You can also buy a UV light disinfectant for toothbrushes. It's been around for a long time. You can use diluted hydrogen peroxide. If you're using Clorox, you have to be careful. Clorox can be toxic if it comes into the mouth. But the key here is, if you have multiple toothbrushes, let's say one for each day, once you get to your Sunday toothbrush the Sunday after, the virus will no longer be there anymore, as long as it's dry and it's aired out. And again, I'm assuming that if you're in isolation, you're isolating yourself with the toothbrush as well. So that's the answer. If you hygienists have any comments about that, just raise your hand. Actually, you can unmute yourself and interject if you'd like to add any comments.
That was excellent, Dr. Simon. Thank you. And I was just going to suggest having them use hot water, because COVID-19 does not like heat. So anything with really hot water should take care of it.
Beautiful. Great. Like I said, the COVID-19 is a WIMP virus. It does create a lot of havoc if you get infected, but it can be easily fought against, and it can become inactive after some time. If one already has scheduled an appointment in June, is that still on, or are you rescheduling everyone? So if you have an appointment in June, which is next month, we are keeping your appointment. We will call you to confirm your appointment to ensure that you're there, and we'll go through the screening process that we shared with you in this presentation. Okay, there is a comment here from an anonymous patient. We love all our anonymous patients. I canceled my appointment scheduled for next week because I didn't feel comfortable coming in right now. I was told that you didn't have any availability until the end of July. Will the wait always be as long for rescheduled appointments? Well, we try to schedule you as soon as possible because postponing your cleanings can create a negative impact on your periodontal health. Sometimes, depends on the hygienist, it can be a long wait, but we will do our best to accommodate you. So simply call us and we will do our best to get you in as soon as possible. We may even have extended hours. Okay. Very good. Will the aerosol machines be used for cleanings too? The aerosol machines that we shared with you in this presentation are meant for procedures that produce aerosols. We modified our cleaning appointments. They no longer produce aerosols at this point until guidelines and the conditions change. But we did invest in a mini aerosol capturing device for the hygienist. And it's a device that sits on the mouth. It's on top of the regular suction device and the saliva ejector that captures that as well. So it's kind of a mini aerosol capturing device, but not the big machine at this point. Okay. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you so much for this webinar and all your efforts to make your office and dental procedures as safe as possible. Thank you, Virginia. Where do patients, I'm going to let Dr. Rosenblatt answer this question, where do patients who need to valet park their car wait to receive the text message that you are ready for them to come inside for the appointment? So where do they wait?
I think it's a very good question. Once you valet the car and hopefully have antiseptic wipes before and after you get into the car, you can either take a walk around the block, you can be in our lobby, you can be outside. Unfortunately, there are not too many public spaces, but I would just make sure that you will be close to our vicinity, that when you receive the text, it will take you a minute to come up. So luckily, we are in a nice area where with the safety, even in your building, we have a nice coffee shop. You can buy yourself a coffee or a cold drink, but there is enough public space to wait around until you receive the text.
Excellent. Thank you, Ari. There's another question from David. Has any improvements been made to the public washrooms on the floor? That's a very powerful question. There are no improvements or any changes. So our recommendations are just common sense, regardless of what's happening right now. Anytime you're in a public restroom, you have to protect yourself. You have to be very cautious what you touch, how you clean your hands, minimize the time in the washroom, obviously, wash your hands, and simply be safe, similar to the advice Miriam gave when it comes to walking into the building. You can walk up the stairs, you can take the elevator. If somebody's in the elevator, then you don't have to, you can wait a couple of minutes. I'm going to read one last comment, and then I'm going to let Dr. Rosenblatt say a few words. I hope that all of you, your family, friends, and coworkers stay healthy and safe. And that's my wish to you, our beloved patients, our loyal patients, to all staff members and to the world. The most important thing is health. That's what we need to focus on. It's our number one focus, and we can achieve it. Dr. Rosenblatt.
I want to take this opportunity to first thank all the patients who have given Dr. Simon and me privately a lot of encouraging messages and appreciate what we are trying to do for them as well as the staff. I want to publicly acknowledge our staff in every department who helped us, even so they were not at work and worked from their home. Every one of our staff members was incredible and motivated and helping us a lot behind the scene. And lastly, I want to thank Dr. Simon. I don't know how many patients are aware that this is probably in Los Angeles one of the few or only webinars that has been organized for the benefit of the patients. And I want to give Dr. Simon a big compliment that he dragged us into the 21st century and enabled us to have the technology and all the work. I don't know how Dr. Simon does it. He looks very healthy. He looks tanned, but I know that he sleeps only 3 or 4 hours. and he does it all because he loves what he's doing. And we appreciate it very, very much. And I'm sure that all our patients appreciate, Dr. Simon, what you have done. Thank you for putting it together.
Thank you, Ari. Very kind of you to say that. I appreciate it. I appreciate you and the hard work. I appreciate you, hygienists, Miriam, Allison, and Stacie, for being with us and sharing your wisdom with the world, with our patients, so we can all be safe and healthy. We got you covered. If you have any questions, feel free to email us. You're getting the patient guide for proper mask wearing, the patient mask guide. It's coming to you in the email, and we're available. Everybody be well and healthy, and God bless. Take care, everybody.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye-bye.
Take care.